There is a gold mine of knowledge sitting with the leaders today, especially our CEOs and CXOs and a lot of thought leaders. That needs to be transferred to the next generation, to the future leaders.
Yeah.
It is all about real leadership. It is all about real conversations, and it is all about real insights. So today, I'm delighted to welcome Prasad Bhamidipati in the line of fire. Prasad, welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here, Saraj.
I would love to understand a little bit of Prasad.
I am an evergreen optimist.
So, what does a future ready organization look like to you?
My opinion is there cannot be any future ready organization. If you are setting that in concrete, then you've already lost the game.
The future of leadership is
It's all about imagination. It is not about knowledge.
the biggest risk for leaders
Is to basically be bounded by their own constraints and say, this is how we always did it. This is how we always did it is not going to define how it is going to be done in the future.
binary, data or instinct.
Data, but instinct driven by data.
Another one, people first or technology first.
It's always people first. No question about it.
Centralized or decentralized.
A lot of it is going to be decentralized.
So, high performer but toxic. Keep or let go.
I would say let go.
Your leadership style in one word.
Empathy. In one
Empathy.
word.
Transformation feels like
Feels like fun, real fun. It's actually a happy journey. It should be fun. It should be happy journey. It should be meaningful at the end of the day.
if you are not in the game, you're not in the game. And present is also about disruption. The future is all about how you align, how you adapt, and how you thrive in the future. There is a gold mine of knowledge sitting with the leaders today, especially our CEOs and CXOs and thought leaders. One of the realization that I've had in 20 years is that are you leading in context or not? If you're not leading in context, you're not leading. When I was thinking about what my purpose is behind whatever I'm doing is leading in context for unleashing talent and unlocking potential for optimal performance.
Yeah.
We need a solid knowledge from the people who are sitting with that wealth. And that is how In the Line of Fire takes the birth, how we lead ourselves and how we lead our family and how we lead our team and business and organizations. And those are 5 lenses that I call the 5-dimensional leadership through which we test our leaders. No script, no textbooks, and no classroom. It is all about real leadership. It is all about real conversations, and it is all about real insights. So today, I'm delighted to welcome Prasad Bhamidipati in the line of fire, the co-founder of Curaway. Prasad, welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here, Saraj.
Prasad brings nearly 3 decades, almost 28 years of experience, worked in some of the top organizations, Fortune 500 companies. He worked for Genpact, SAP, BES systems across US and India. His influence and impact of what he did was across verticals and horizontals and across the industries and geographies. So Prasad, before we talk about leadership, business, and transformation, I would love to understand a little bit of Prasad himself.
I am an evergreen optimist. I think we are living in very unprecedented times. If you think about the day and age that we are in, it's completely unprecedented. We live in an age where there's great opportunity to do the right thing with the right technology. But as you alluded to earlier, it needs to be done in the right context, in the right measure, in the right place, in a proper manner that you actually roll out the technology and the solutions. And we are in a phase where I fundamentally believe that we could either do something very fast, very bad, or we could actually make the society and the world around us a much better place and leave a fantastic future for the next generation and the generations after that. So we actually have this responsibility to do the right thing right now in the right way. And that's why the present times are so very important, right? You talked about the past, you talked about the present and the future. In no other situation, as you alluded to earlier, I've been in the industry for almost 3 decades now, both being a software engineer, architect, product manager, general manager, and now, of course, having my own startup in the healthcare space. Through this transition, I have never seen a period of humongous change that is so dramatic that if not done properly, the repercussions will stay with us for a long time. So thank you so much for this opportunity, for letting me share my thoughts with you, and look forward to a very interesting conversation.
I thank you for accepting the invitation to join us on In the Line of Fire, and truly believing and trusting me on this one, and on the purpose that we are on to this. One of the things that I've always been inquisitive, and I'm sure many of our audience will also be, people talk about stress or employees' stress. Who talks about CEOs' stress and how do they manage themselves? So we'll go back into your personal self, and we'll start about how does your day look like.
The first thing I do when I get up, is actually do reading. Right on the coffee table, the world changes very quickly. The change cycles are so rapid. You alluded to it. So the first thing I actually do is read. Happened, what is happening across the board. My interest lies in computer science and tech, of course, but also things like geopolitics, history, macroeconomics, economics, corporates, how corporates have done, what their results show, what are the trending lines, and so on and so forth. So it's all about connecting the dots, and for connecting the dots, the key thing is to understand what is happening, but not just understand what is happening, but understand the context of why it is happening the way it's happening, whether it's in the sphere of politics or economics, or when you look at a corporate and their results and their competitive landscape. So my morning is dedicated a couple of hours. I try to wake up early and spend at least an hour and a half on reading up, catching up, looking at the major journals out there. Wall Street Journal is one of my favorites, to understand what's happened. And then, of course, work-wise, three major things, right? One is basically setting the strategy for the organization. And in this ever-changing, ever-dynamic world that we live in, setting up a North Star and making sure that everybody is aligned to the strategy is very important. A bulk of my time during the day goes into execution, right? We've set the strategy, now you got to execute. And if all the people in the organization have to march consistently towards that goal. And number three, I spend a lot of time in setting the culture and the tone, because I do believe culture is extremely important, because at the end of the day, the organization is a set of folks who come together with a common goal and a common purpose. They are passionate, and they have to work together, and so on and so forth. So culture really is the one that binds everybody, right? In a giving a set of common purpose and a set of common beliefs, what we believe in and how do we see the world, and what is our purpose in for that endeavor. So that takes up bulk of my time. And then in the evening, coming back to the family and spending time with the family. So, this notion of stress and work-life balance, if you're passionate about what you're doing, then I don't think there is a place for stress. Stress, in my humble opinion, comes when you're doing something that you're not passionate sufficiently about. If you're really passionate about making a change, delivering that change, driving value every single day, that just consumes you to a point where you don't feel stress. Every minute of the day you're enjoying, you're really learning. So my outlook is enjoy what you do, and chances of stress are quite limited in that space. If you start every day, you wake up, you want to make a change, you're passionate, you're driven, and you're doing that throughout the day, then I don't think there's enough time and space to feel stressed overall, whether you're a CXO or you're on the front lines, or whatever role you play. I don't think stress is a big problem.
I think there are great insights in this conversation for emerging leaders and young leaders on the passion, which is very important, and more importantly, the reading habits. So, Prasad, we'll again go back to how do you manage your well being, some of your physical activities, or let me add another one. What is your renewal technique?
So I love to work out. So I spend absolutely an hour and a half every day working out. My advice to folks is, whether you like running, you go into the gym, whatever you like, right? So bicycling, some people like getting onto a bike and drive, going out there. Do it. Very, very important. And the second thing I would say is it's all about movement, right? A lot of our physical well-being is directly proportional to how much we move our body throughout the day. So for a lot of my colleagues who are in the software so-called high-tech industry, they sit for hours, and that is really not good. So that's on the physical well-being, but equally the mental well-being is extremely important, extremely important. As a society, we don't talk enough these days. People have started to talk about it, and it's coming into the mainstream. I think the mental well-being and what you do for that is very, very important. And for that, number one thing is, whatever you do it with a sense of purpose. What
So
I've
what do you do?
realized, so for me, I want to make a positive impact. I want to make healthcare better. So these days, whenever I wake up, every single thing that I do is in that direction. So that sense of purpose is your North Star. That is your guiding force throughout the day. And as I said, break is just an interval between two different tasks, right? So do whatever makes you happy. And if you have that sense of purpose, and you're working towards it and you're giving it your 100%, then I don't think there is a place for stress in that whole picture. And that's the way you take care, both at a physical well-being thing, a level, and also a mental well-being. You have to make sure that you're covered. And the last thing I'll say is find happiness in the sense of purpose. Let's say you're working in some large corporate. You still find purpose. You still align yourself with a larger sense of purpose that the organization is driving. And when you get that sense saying, I am making a difference every single day, and it's a positive difference, whether it is for the customer that you're building the feature function for, or it is an end user, you're building an e-commerce website for somebody, whatever you're doing, you are making somebody's life better. And if that's the purpose driven work, and that is most important for you, then I think you'll feel happy about it. If you're finding that sense of purpose, if you're doing the right things the right way, if you're learning every day, learning is a very, very important component. If you're doing transaction work every day, you'll feel stressed out, right? I've done this, 100 transactions. But the question that you have to ask yourself, what have I learned? Have I become better? Was there a aha moment? And these small things will really give you that sense of happiness and sense of accomplishment. That is very important. Whether you're a CXO, again, it doesn't matter what role that you play. That sense of accomplishment throughout the day, which is your work day, right? Which is during the 8, 9 hours, 10 hours that you work. If you find that sense of accomplishment, I think it'll put you in a happier place, and that's important.
Great point, very profound, Prasad. We see that CEOs and CXOs get sucked into the business like anything, and suddenly there's in business a stress or the possibility of losing a business or renewal of a contract or going to the new market, and there's an impact on the family. How do you strike that balance? And that should be your family feedback, how your family looks at it rather than how you look at it.
Never bring your work home. I always follow this mantra. If you carry all this work and the load thereof, from the work to home, folks at home have a different context. They are not in the same chair that you sit in for the last 8, 9, 10 hours during the work day, right? They have a different context. They have different expectations. I think compartmentalizing your day is very, very important. A lot of us have different things going on at home, and some not so positive, some positive. Never take that to work, and never show that on your work colleagues at work. And similarly, whatever problems, so-called problems, and I think every problem is an opportunity. That's just my humble opinion. But whatever comes at work your way, when you come back home, leave that at the office door. Don't carry it with you. People get stressed because they carry too much of load. Life goes on. Life goes on. It's a beautiful journey. Everything in life is an experience. Even the things that you don't like coming your way, they're also experiences. And once you take that approach and that attitude, then everything is an opportunity. You just said, right, you are in the middle of a high bidding contract, and there's a lot of unknowns and so on and so forth. I mean, one way to look at it is, oh, that's a big problem and I'm going to be stressful about it, I might lose the contract. The other opportunity is, yes, I'm going to compete with the best of the competitors out there. I will have to bring my A game to the table and I'll learn. Once you have that attitude and that approach and saying, look, even if I win the contract or I lose the contract, I have learned, I have understood, I've gotten better with this experience. Once you have that notion of learning every single moment, getting better, it can only become positive. There might be some problems, but it'll always be positive and accretive in the longer run.
I
That's my
think
honest opinion.
great insights there. And I especially love that compartmentalization rather than doing a multitasking. That's a great insight. So I wanted to specifically talk about a couple of behaviors that help you strike that balance. When you enter the house, you're a different person or whatever. I don't know. But any specific behaviors that you think can help when you come back to your home? How is your behavior next 5 minutes?
You just come home. It's a new environment, right? You've not been in that environment for the last 7 8 hours, so it's a new beginning for that day, right? And you pick up the thread, start talking to people, understand what they've done, how was their day, have this conversation. The moment you have a conversation with somebody, your better half, your kids, there's so much to talk about, right? I mean, how was their day? What did they do? What went well from them? What did not go well for them? What did they learn today? There's so much to talk about.
Any incident you want to talk where you learned something from your kids, which you applied in the office?
Actually, yeah. No, I actually learn a lot from them. It's unbelievable how well versed they are using tools and technologies. And for example, my kid, I don't give him enough credit, but the amount
What's
of
his name? You
knowledge.
want to talk about his class name? I'm sure
Okay.
he would love to watch this.
My daughter's name is Amulya and my son's name is Abhay.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter goes to the med school. She's in the second year med school, MBBS. My son's in the 10th. But I'm fascinated, how much of knowledge they have about tools, devices, AI, what it means to be a practitioner. And they do, and they learn all this while having fun. And sometimes the biggest learning for me is, we think of this as work. The moment you think of it as a work that needs to be done, and you take that pressure, you're not really learning and you're not enjoying while you're learning. So one of the things that I've learned from my own kids, which I'm sure a lot of us will actually relate to, is how easily our kids pick up things like AI and using devices and this and that, and they do it while having fun. So the whole process is fun for them. While in the office, when we work, we think of it as actual work that needs to be done, and there's pressure and there's deadlines, and we forget to have fun. So my biggest learning, other than a lot of things that I learned from them, just talking to them, right? What are your friends doing? How do you do this? So my son, he does a lot of video editing and this and that. He's into multiple areas, and that whole learning culture. Every moment you're learning, you're doing different things. Why can't we do it in the office? Why does it have to be a stressful thing where people come and it's a family and you're coming together with a common purpose? Titles don't matter. A lot of times you keep saying CXO and this and that. To me, titles don't matter. I tell everybody, we are a professional family. We are working together. We have different roles, and I help you, you help me. And actually, if you think I am a CXO, then my job is to help you. My full-time job is to help make sure that you are successful, because you're the one doing the real work. And my job, my real work, is to actually make you successful. Again, going back to this one, our work in the office has to be about doing things, not with a lot of pressure, not with a lot of stress, being there for each other, learning together, but accomplishing together. I think if you look at the kids today, they do that so flawlessly, and that's something we can actually use in the corporate world quite a bit. I think that should be the way we think about work. Also, it should be fun, it should be easy. We accomplish something. There's a common sense of purpose that we're driving towards, but we're all driving together in the same path, and that's a lot of fun because that's your professional family. If we can take how the kids are learning today and translate that and bring it into our work life, collaborating with colleagues, enjoying the collaboration, enjoying the learning, I think it'll have a profound impact on the workplace in a very positive manner.
Great insight. In fact, I was speaking to Richard Boetz. He's a global authority on emotional intelligence, resonant leadership, and sustained change. And he was a big one. And when I asked him this question, family and team, and he said, it's the same. There's no difference. It's a group
Correct.
dynamic. And that's it.
Exactly.
So great insight there. So one last question. If I go back to your kids and ask about you, what is it that they will tell me about you?
About
My
me.
dad is.
So they will actually tell you, they might tell you. I mean, you'll have to ask them when you meet them, and you should actually. But they'll tell you I'm very passionate about the work I do. I'm very passionate about connecting the dots across multiple fields of work. And hopefully they'll tell you that, what I love is learning every moment, contextualizing things in my mind across multiple fields. Like, for example, what's happening in the tech world, what's happening in the political world, economic, macro and micro, so on and so forth.
I'm not generalizing or giving a general statement, but looks like people are too busy. And when I speak to the CEOs and CXOs, they always have time for gaining knowledge, learning new things. That's a profound thing that I have been discovering. So, Prasad, from family, let us move to the team. That is the next dimension. Everything comes out of the team. And the leadership is tested when you're working with the team. And today it's a virtual team and team in person. So what is the most important thing when it comes to leading a team for you?
Sense of purpose. We as a team come together, and that sense of purpose could be a macro level thing, like we are going to change healthcare for the world, or it could be a small thing saying, look, we are going to release this product and release this feature function. But whether you're talking of incremental steps or the larger goal, and we need both, by the way, we need the larger goal and the set of incremental steps. Number one thing is the sense of purpose. Okay. Number two, I would say right after that is collaboration and leaning on each other and the trust and faith. So a lot of times I see in a lot of dysfunctional teams, you don't trust your colleague, or you don't, teams actually hide things and keep things close to their chest. There's no need for that, and that is a negative spiral. To me, a team is successful when everybody trusts each other, they collaborate in an open manner, and they learn from each other. That's the band. It's a band of brothers. Any team, it could be a 5-member team or a 500-member team, it doesn't matter. But when you're able to bring those characteristics in the team, in the larger team, behavior, I think you're setting it up for a success, right? So for example, collaboration. I'll tell you what I know, but you tell me what you know. We'll both, drive. We'll both, row in the same direction, because that's what a team is. It's a set of people with competencies coming together. Hopefully, competencies that are complementary to each other, driven with a sense of purpose, that believe and trust each other, that are learning from each other and collaborating every moment. There's no barriers. This could be for people who are in the same place together, co-located, or it could be across the 7 oceans. You could have a team here in the US and a team in India, but if they follow the same fundamental principles, then they're collaborating, and that's extreme collaboration, and you can make the dynamics of the team work. Anyway.
Right. So, Prasad, what are the top 3 behaviors that would enable what you're saying?
Part of it is the leadership and how they set up the culture of the team. The other part comes down to individual behavior and the kind of people that you hire and bring into the team, and so on and so forth. The number one thing is about building that sense of purpose, showing that North Star, making sure that everybody knows their role in driving towards a North Star, in driving towards that goal, achieving that goal. So that sense of purpose and the magnitude of that achievement, saying, look, we're going to change an industry, or we're going to do this, right? And everybody in the team has to know their piece of making that change. They have to understand the larger purpose and what they're doing and their contribution to that larger purpose, which really will excite them. I think that is number one. Number two is whatever qualities we talk about, it is incumbent on the leader to live those and show those, demonstrate that every single day. People can talk about fancy things and a lot of these things in the abstract. But if their team members are not seeing that in action every single day, I think it's more incumbent on that leader to live those values than the team, right? And the number three thing is bringing the right team together, right? Making sure that things don't overlap. You're not giving the same task to two people and making them run in the same direction to see who runs faster. Those are all negative. They create a negative environment. If you want to create a positive environment and make sure that people are collaborating, and not just collaborating, they are in this mode of extreme collaboration, you have to bring in that notion, bring in the right people with the right passion together on the right tasks, and making sure that the culture of the team, right, is set up in such a way that they are able to lean on each other, learn from each other, create that learning environment, create that environment that is positive. And the last thing I'd say is very, very important, in my humble opinion, is if something is successful, give your team the credit. But if something goes wrong, you take the blame because you're at the head of that thing. And when you do that, right, it shows the team that you care. You're not just pushing the thing on somebody who is not even in that role, right? It's not about berating that. You put yourself in the hot seat and say, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. We'll take the learnings and we'll apply it and make it right the next time. And as a leader, you have to show that. You have to live that value. You can't just talk about it. It's not a preaching or a sermon that you give. You have to show that value. So every time anything happens, yeah, let your team give that credit to the team because they've banded together and they've produced that. But if anything goes wrong, you have to take the blame. You have to go say sorry. I mean, say sorry. I've learned from this. It won't happen the next time. It's okay. Life goes on. But that is the value that you have to inculcate in the larger organization for you to be consistently successful or drive positive results over the longer period. I mean, as I said,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a journey. It's a
True.
journey, and it's important.
You recall any of your team in the past, a
Okay.
high performing team that you built? What were some of the observations that you had? I'm sure if the guys would listen, they would cherish that moment as well.
Yeah, they've been quite a few. It's been a great experience of my life to have the opportunity to work with some of the smartest people, some of the most passionate people, and the work that we've done in quantum computing and the work we've done with blockchain. When things were not even there, the larger ecosystem, it was not as if we could have taken some learning and all. So just folks banding together, folks believing in each other. They've gone out of their way to develop these solutions to the customer's delight. Even patterns that were not really evident. So it's not as if it's there somewhere, you can just copy paste it, right? That calls for real innovation. And I've been blessed to basically work with those kinds of folks pretty much throughout my life, and it's a blessing. What can I say? It's a real blessing.
So I wouldn't say for the sake of this interview that I've had the opportunity to speak to some of your direct reports, but I did, in fact, in the past. And they all feel one thing that comes out very common is your way of empowering people and the way they feel self accountable and self responsible, and they take that ownership for the results and outcomes, and they never feel like they're under control of someone. I don't know how you achieve that, but that's how at least I'm giving this evidence after talking to some of your direct reports, very senior people.
I think thank you very much for those kind words. But I keep telling my team, it's not my role to micromanage you. I'm not going to micromanage the 8 hours, 8.5 hours of your day. You
Yeah,
guys are senior
precisely
enough.
was my point. Yes.
You should go do it. Understand what your role is in the larger picture. And you have to step up, because if you don't, somebody else who's leaning on you will actually suffer at the end of the day, right? Whether it could be a customer, it could be an internal stakeholder, it could be whoever, right? It could be a person in the same team who's waiting for you to get something done. And I think, again, it's a blessing. All these folks are very, very senior. They have got the right mindset. They've got the right attitude. And I said, the number one thing that I hire personally in my limited experience is passion. Subject and knowledge can be gained. I look for passion. I look for the for the attitude of being a learner. So I don't want, I'm not in favor of somebody who comes in and says, I know it all. Because, once you be that know it all kind of a bucket, then it's very difficult for you to unlearn and learn. And
Absolutely.
in the world that we live in, it's a very, very important thing where you are able to unlearn whatever you've learned and then learn. And when I say unlearn, it's not completely let go of the past, right? Use your experience, but be able to learn at every clip, right? Take every opportunity as a learning opportunity. And we have a common goal. We have timelines and milestone like any other team. They should feel comfortable enough to come up and say, look, I don't understand this or I don't know this. Yeah, then it's my job to basically find them the right resources or tell them what I know or give them direction saying, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you thought about this? Could this be a possibility? Right? That's the leader's job.
Exactly.
And the ability for these folks to actually come up and say, look, I'm sorry I tried this, it didn't fail. Not a failure, that's actually a success. Because now you
Yeah.
can actually say, have you tried this thing and that thing? Now that we know this thing does not work, have you tried it this way? Have you tried it that way? Right? And that's collectively how we become better
Very true. Very
as an
true.
individual, as a group, as an organization. So, anyway,
That's when the openness and approachability comes in place and leaders' behaviors come in place. Prasad, we'll transition to the business. Prasad, sometimes we can anticipate something and we have a fair idea of what is happening and what is going to happen out of this disruption. Sometimes you are just not there. You don't know what is coming, and suddenly something comes up. So, how do we combat this situation of whether it is coming to me, it's not coming to me, how far is that tsunami, and how is it going to hit my company, my organization, my product, my solutions? What is your advice to the CEOs and CXOs, and especially the startups? How should they get prepared for this? Thoughts on that?
look, yeah, I mean, absolutely. So if you look at digital transformation, it's always been there. A company founded in a small garage can disrupt an existing incumbent, right? So if I could point you to this work that was done by a person called Clay Christensen. He was a Harvard professor, fantastic work, and he did a lot of work on disruptive innovation, right? And his whole thesis was that, and if you read the books like Innovator's Dilemma and Innovator's Solution that he wrote, these are phenomenal books. But the point is, more than the hard skills, companies today need to be adaptable. Adaptability is the number one thing that any organization of any size, by the way, should be able to inculcate within the cultural underpinnings of that organization, right? Adaptability is very, very important. Because you will get disrupted. You should be prepared for being disrupted. You should have that fear of being disrupted. Then only will you run faster in the right direction and so on and so forth, right? So whether you're a startup or whether you are a large organization, adaptability and the ability to bring in innovation in a meaningful manner is very, very important. My 2 cents for large CXOs is don't treat AI. And by the way, we're talking about AI today. I've spent about 3.5 years on quantum computing. You think about then quantum computing and the power of that hardware, and then AI, so quantum machine learning or quantum AI is going to be the next order. Disruption and innovation and growth in tech is going to be with us, right? Who would have thought just a couple of years ago, you could do whatever you're doing today. And, what is going to come in 2027, 2028 is going to be even more disruptive than what it is today. So as an organization, you got to be prepared. The technologies today, the advancement of technologies are so rapid and so profound that as a CXO, you got to look at the larger picture and say, look, how do I serve my customers better? How do I think about my supply chain differently? The point I'm making is, as a CXO, it's incumbent on you to completely reimagine the work that you're doing, the profit pools, the supply chain, the end-to-end supply chain, the value pools that you have, the customer experience, how do you reach customers, the whole 9 yards, whatever you think you've done, the way you've done that made you successful. Take a step back and say, can I reimagine the end-to-end thing on AI? That's the right
Right.
way of leveraging AI. It's not about, oh, I'll do the small project at this corner and you guys do that and come back to me with a business case on what worked, what didn't work. That is how a lot of customers actually brought in digital transformation within the four walls of their organization. With AI, you have to think differently. You have to think big. You have to think end to end and then say, is there a better way that I can serve my customers? So AI is that kind of technology that is so profound. The magnitude of change is so profound that your response to what you do with AI and other technologies that are on the horizon has to be end to end. It is complete reimagination. So for CXOs, I would say reimagine your end to end processes. Reimagine what work means to you. Reimagine how you out to customers, your partners, your vendors, your employees. Everything can be reimagined, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So that's would be my humble opinion on this.
Yes, so some people are at level 1 in the game, some at level 2, some at level 3, some at level 4. Some of them are already ahead in the business. They know what is coming. I want you to highlight out of your experience how it is going to impact the startups, the manufacturing, and all the other verticals. Adaption.
They absolutely should think about it. I mean, they should have thought about it yesterday, I would say. Just to give you one example, right? A concrete example. So think about, let's say, JP Morgan Chase and a Bank of America. They are not competing with each other. Today, they are competing with the upstarts, the neobanks, the payment platforms. Because the cost of a transaction on any of these neobanks and neo payment platforms is something that the large banks will struggle to actually reach. So it's not just the JP Morgan competing with Bank of America. It's really they competing with the new upstarts who are AI first, who've built their platforms on AI and build them ground up AI, with an AI first strategy. So the whole competitive landscape has changed.
Building on to that, Prasad, tell us what are you building at the moment? What are the solutions that you're building?
So, if I were to take a step back and look at the world, right? Look at healthcare at large. In economies that we consider are advanced economies, right? Let's say for the US, and just to give you some stats, 36% of all delinquencies in the US are directly attributable to medical bills that folks have to pay. 35% of the citizens don't have access to health insurance. If you look at other parts of the world, right, you look at Spain and Turkey and India and Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, there's phenomenal medical hubs if you look at it, right? There's very good care, very good doctors, latest equipment, technology, and they're very good, what I call medical hubs. So if you look at the world at large, there's tremendous amount of demand on one side and need for good quality access to good quality healthcare. And there's tremendous amount of supply of very high quality healthcare, both, resources, people, and so on and so forth. In some countries in the Western economies, for a standard hip replacement, the gestation period is about 8 to 10 weeks, where the patient is suffering for 8 to 10 weeks and then he can get there. And there's no need to do that. And now what we want to do at Curate.ai is build an AI first platform that brings the demand and the supply together in a very a manner where it's completely transparent, completely visible. You know what you're getting. You as a patient are in the driver's seat. You are selecting the right procedure at the right time, and this is completely borderless. There's no need for you to be living within a certain border, because access to health is, I believe, a fundamental right of every person on this planet. You have to have access to good quality healthcare. And so what we're doing is bringing this demand and supply together on an AI platform, a platform that is very empathetic, that understands the context, that can understand what you're going through, help you along the way, match you with the right hospital and the doctor that is specialized for your context. So, for example, there'll be patients who have a need for let's say, orthopedic hip replacement problem. There'll be patients who need a hip replacement problem, but they have comorbidities. There will be comorbidities with some other complication. So everybody's context is different, and this is an AI first platform that will understand you as a person, you as an individual, your context, and then match you with the best possible doctor, hospital resources across the globe, and not be constrained by the global geographic boundaries of where you live. So that's sort of the platform that we are building. Again, an AI first platform
You want to talk about top three USPs?
So, the number one is the context building, right? We understand the context of the patient, understand what they are going through. Of course, we are not supposed to make any clinical judgment on behalf of the patient. That's for the doctor to do. Matching them with the right resources is extremely critical. Number two is the cost arbitrage. So you're talking about a cost compression of not 100% or 200%, but almost x 25x in a lot of cases, right? And that cost compression is very, very important because people are struggling today in the real world. They are struggling in real ways, and if we can help them, you know, that'll be a north star. And the third thing is really understanding the context and creating a medical record, which is an industry compliant HL7 fire medical record with full visibility, transparency, not just for the patient but even for the provider. Now, when the provider has a medical record in front of him or her and understands everything, understands the correlations, we reduce the noise, increase the signal. And so what used to take him 45 minutes to 50 minutes now can be done in less than 5 minutes in a much more accurate manner. And then if he wants to see, let's say, a X-ray or a CT scan, it's one click away. He just clicks it, the document opens, and he's able to see it. Primarily, it's B2C right now. That's what we are focused on. And again, it's about reaching out to the people who need help. And through this technology, through this platform, through the advances in deep tech, helping them in a meaningful manner. By the way, in addition, once the patient is out of the hospital doesn't really have that cycle to go back to the patient, but the platform can do that with the right technology, video conferencing, and so on and so forth built into the platform. We can actually help the patient after the post procedure. So we do a pre-op, op, and after the operation, we do a transition care / rehab. And after they go back to their source countries, their homes, we still continue that relationship to ensure that they are doing well. 30-day plan, 60-day, 90-day plan, and so on and so forth. So it's a complete end-to-end patient care platform that we want to bring. And there's nothing out there, and we feel that's a real need in the world that we live in today, and that's what we want to bring to the patients and the folks. And so the company that we have is in the intersection of deep tech and healthcare, and using technology the right way, in the right measure, to really enable citizens' access to healthcare. That's real healthcare.
How does your next 3 years strategic plan looks like?
We want to hit the market as soon as possible and start helping the people, right? Helping folks gain access to healthcare using technology, the right technology platform, which does a clinical matching. And we do a matching of the doctor, hospital, place using more than 147 dimensions, if you can imagine. So not only your budget and your immediate problem, but also like your social context and any language barrier and so on. And so all these can be transcended with the right technology. And so the idea is to build the minimum viable product as soon as possible, get it in front of patients, start helping them. And from a product standpoint, we've got a very, very solid roadmap for the next few years, where we'll keep adding capabilities, right? So one example I can give you is medical second opinion, right? So let's say you need a cardiac intervention, but before you sign up for it, you also need a second opinion, right? We go to a different doctor and say, look, here's all the data I have. By the way, we are creating a electronic medical record, HL7 fire compliant format, but you present it to the doctor and the doctor says, yes, this treatment is okay, you should go with it. So the medical second opinion is a very important aspect of a patient, the way the patient makes that decision, right? Let's say that you're coming for the first time to a country like Turkey to get a certain treatment. We want to make sure that we give you that end-to-end support, logistics, travel, the whole 9 yards. So we've got an entire plan to make sure that we as an organization with full empathy, able to give the end-to-end customer experience, not just piecemeal here and there, but the end-to-end experience on a consistent, consolidated tech platform. So I think that's what we're driving towards. I'll keep you posted on the progress.
Anything that has a purpose. And I always say purpose means you're doing something that through which you are fulfilling your ambition, but at the same time, there is a human connect and there is a humanity attached to that. There's somebody else who's also benefiting. So great purpose. Wish you great successes ahead,
Thank you.
Prasad and team.
It's all about leaving the world a better place than what you found. I mean, that to us is very, very important. The
Well
second
said.
thing is it's all about Vasudeva Kutumbakam, as they say in India, right? The world is one family. It's one family, it's one healthy family. Because any person within that family is not feeling well, your heart goes out for it. And that's not a world that you want to see around you. We truly believe that if we talk about change, but what is change? It's individuals and banding together, coming together, and driving that change, making it happen. That is the change for the world. And we truly believe in that notion of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which is one family. The entire world is one family, and we should really help people who are in pain. They need a solution, and if you can provide that in a meaningful, empathetic manner, end-to-end solution, make them comfortable, provide them with all the services that they need, and get them access to the right healthcare solution, I think that would be ideal for us.
Great discussions. Thank you for sharing. We'll slightly make things lighter. We will have very few options now and getting back into the leadership. So this is rapid fire. Your leadership style in one word.
I give, I would say empathy in one
Empathy.
word. Yes.
And transformation feels like
Feels like fun, real fun.
AI will replace more jobs than it creates. True or false?
I would say false. See, the jobs are going to change in the interim. So when you can use AI to really reimagine everything that you do, all business verticals, horizontals, user experience, customer experience, it'll actually end up creating a lot more jobs. But in the interim, there'll be pain that we'll have to assess, understand how we get over that, and then make the right investments in the right people.
True or false? Leadership is evolving faster than technology.
True. It is evolving. It has to evolve.
Short segment, I would ask you to finish a sentence. The future of leadership is
It's all about imagination. You have to imagine the future. It is not about knowledge.
next one. Again, finish the sentence. The biggest risk for leaders today
Is to basically be bounded by their own constraints and say, this is how we always did it. This is how we always did it is not going to define how it is going to be done in the future. And you've got to take that leap from here to there. That is extremely important.
next one is binary. Data or instinct?
Data, but instinct driven by data. I mean, they're not separate and distinct. Any gut feel is driven by your past patterns that you've learned, you've understood, they work for you, what did not work for you. Your instinct is as important as data driven decision. So both have to be in balance.
Another one, and this is again a binary. People first or technology first?
It's always people first. No question about it. That's an easy choice. It's never technology.
Centralized or decentralized?
A lot of it is going to be decentralized.
So, high performer but toxic. Keep or let go?
I would say let go. What is going to be extremely important are the soft skills. And the soft skills include, as I said, passion, but more importantly, the ability to collaborate with other people.
Transition back again to the organizational readiness.
Okay.
So, what does a future ready organization look like to you?
My opinion is there cannot be any future ready organization. If you are setting that in concrete, then you've already lost the game. You, as an organization, you have to learn to pivot. You have to be very flexible in the way you do things. You have to be able to bring in the right technology, the right people, the right processes, and be able to, make sure that you're inculcating that into your existing thing. Your culture will define your success ultimately. And it'll define how people work together, how people achieve things, and that will be the ultimate success criteria. So in my humble opinion, a future ready organization, it's not about having the best people. It's having the right people doing the right job, working together to build the future. You can never say it's a future ready company. It's always, one of the things that I always think about is the data to insights to action. Every organization has to be ready to look at the data, draw the right insights, and then take the right action. And then, by the way, learn the output of those actions and then bring it back into that feedback loop. Only organizations that can create a virtuous cycle of that loop are going to be successful in the future.
So, Prasad, I always talk about AI, deep science, machine learning, blockchain, quantum computing, and those 4 or 5 topics are very dear to me. So, how do you see the impact of that on society in general?
It's going to have a profound impact. Whatever role that you know today is going to be reimagined on the back of those 4 or 5 pieces of technology that you're talking about, right? AI has proven, you look at the role of a software engineer, you can argue that there will be no, and today, if you think about it, right? What are you? You're a front end engineer. I'm a back end engineer. I'm a server engineer. I'm a DevOps engineer. Just if you think about AI and the profound impact, there are all these rolled up into one person, one job title. So the same person has to understand and guide the engine for the front end, for the back end, for the architecture, for DevOps. And so this whole notion of a $1 billion company of one person, I think is going to be a reality. We have to, as a society, understand this change is coming. And then the question is, how do we upskill ourselves? How do we upskill other folks who are entering the labor market to be able to understand this impact and then, pivot to that to be successful in the new world, in the new age? So going back to your question, I think there's going to be profound impact of these technologies that you spoke about, especially AI and AI becoming more mature, and then AI working along on top of quantum computing. Quantum, I'm a big believer in quantum. Once you have that power, then everything that we thought we knew is going to change. The question is, how ready are we individually as organizations for that change? And we have to get to that point where we put ourselves in a position where we can leverage the change to make the society better rather than be impacted by the change and then suffer the consequences. So it just depends. And so soft skills are going to be as important as hard skills.
Fantastic insights there. There's one segment, Prasad, that I do for our young talent, school boards, freshers, engineers, MBAs, and people who are stepping into the corporate world very soon. That's a very dear segment to me. Beyond organization, so we've talked about future. Our future is our young professionals, our young talent, and that's
Correct.
a large portion of that. They are already, I think, in a way, leading the AI-driven life.
Yeah.
But we can go and keep talking about a lot of things, but be very specific. What should young professionals start learning now to stay relevant?
Yeah. Look, AI mastery is going to be extremely important for them. There's no question about it. And it's not just about, I read this book and I heard this lecture and that sort of thing. You have to have the builder mindset today, right? So any person listening to this podcast, I would encourage them, get ahead of the curve, start using these technologies. Peel the onion, understand these technologies, what works, what does not work, what is coming out, try it, be hands on. So, the first thing I would say is be a builder, have a builder mindset. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is what you know is already commoditized or is going to be commoditized very, very soon. Learn to learn is what I say. Whether you're going to an engineering school or an MBA school or whatever you even if you want to become a doctor, learn how to learn, because the world will move at a very, very fast clip. And what will help you is that ability to constantly learn, constantly evolve, constantly get better. So always have that learner attitude every single day of your life, every single hour of every single day. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing I would really recommend is be curious. Don't sit back and say, oh, that thing is working. I understand how it is working. Have an imagination to say, how can it be better? Have that analytical mindset. Don't take things for granted. Oh, it's always worked that way. That's not. No, have that analytical mindset. How do things work? What can I do to make it better? If you create this mental model of always thinking about how to make things better, how things working today, understand how things work today, how to make them better, and then apply them and try it out, right? That builder mindset that I talked about. Those are the soft skills that really will help you propel your career, because the future that we talk about today is there is going to be disruption. Existing roles are going to be folded, right? But there'll be new roles that are going to be created, right? The question that you have to ask yourselves is, now that we talk about every industry being disrupted, every horizontal, every vertical being reimagined, how can I get ahead of the curve and how do I go to where the puck is instead of standing where I am. And for that, you'll need a lot of competencies, both hard and soft skills, and get trained for the future. Learn how to guide the AI engine in the right way to achieve a certain goal, a business goal. Again, you can't just say, I'm a tech guy, I don't understand business. Please evolve yourself to understand how the business is going forward. So once you are a consummate professional, you understand tech, you know how to work with AI engines, understand business now, and know what business value to drive, you will be able to create the new world. You will not be disrupted by any progress. Evolve yourself to be in a position that you can do the right thing tomorrow. That is my humble request to all the folks who've just joined the workforce or are going to join the workforce. Please give importance to these things. This is very, very important. Evolve yourself, be a learner, be a builder, and use these tools to create the future. So don't be disrupted.
Okay.
Create the world of the future.
So one connected question, Prasad. If your team is going to the campuses to hire freshers, what are the top three qualities that they should look at? What is it that you will hire people for?
So, as I said, first thing, passion. It's not just about campus recruits. I look at passion being the foundational, fundamental ingredient for everybody in my team and the teams that I work with. Passion is not something that is superimposed. You cannot teach passion. You have to be passionate, right? So passion is number one. Number two is curiosity, right? You have to be fundamentally curious and analytical. You have to basically understand how things work. If you want to change something, if you want to disrupt something, the first thing you have to do is understand. Be curious enough to understand how it works today. What is the value? Where is the value? Understanding it will help you define how it should work in the new world, right? And the third thing I would say is be a learner. Be a learner. I keep saying, right, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Being a learner will give you that ability to, constantly be in the driver's seat. Learn new things, learn new technologies, try it out, be a builder. So that notion of, I know it all is going to go away. That's not the future. The future belongs to people who can constantly evolve, constantly learn new technologies, hands-on. Now, today you have AI. Understand what AI does today. Also the direction of AI. But tomorrow when you have quantum computing, understand how quantum computing changes the game. How AI with quantum is going to be, really a game changer, right? You have to be ahead of the curve. So three things, if I were to, in that order, that would be my choice, hiring the right folks.
So, any message for the schoolgoers?
Schoolgoers are actually quite ahead of office goers, if you ask me. The way they use technology is really fascinating. If you've seen a schoolgoer use a device, right, the things that they will discover, the things that they will see that we don't see as office goers is fascinating. Schoolgoers also have to imbibe these traits. Passion about things, curiosity, be a learner, learn how to learn is what I keep telling people, right? You have to learn how to learn. And all your school, college, they mostly will teach you how to learn. Let's say, for example, you're going to grad school, you're doing MBA, right? The value of MBA is not that somebody made a decision one way or the other and they either succeeded or failed. Ask the 5 whys question. Why did they make that decision? What was the context? Why did they succeed? Why did they fail? The more analytical you are, the better answers and the better approach you get to use when you are in that position. At the end of the day, it's not about somebody would have made a decision and they were successful. That's not good enough. Why did they make that decision? What was the context? What were the other ways of thinking about making that decision? Once you are analytical enough to ask those 5 whys questions, right? 5 whys, as they say, you will be in a better position to analyze the same situation in a much more, in a better way when you are facing that same problem. That is the value. So basically being a learner is very, very important. Whether you're in school or whether you're in undergrad or grad, doesn't matter. Learn how to learn how to be better. Embrace knowledge. Embrace true imagination, out of the box thinking. These are traits that are going to be extremely important, whatever you do. You could be a doctor, engineer, a commerce graduate, looking at macroeconomic things. These soft skills are going to really define whether you're going to be successful or you're going to be just flowing with the stream, if you will, and really do break out. And the last thing I'll leave your your audiences with any profound change in our society, any new technology, any great invention, it is actually individuals who've actually driven that. Please believe in yourself. Self belief is very, very important. Self belief that you can change the world, you can make a positive impact, and making sure that you are ready with the tools and understanding and the context and everything and the analytical capabilities to be able to make that change is very, very important. You look at any of the major changes in the world, it is individuals who had passion, who had belief, who had the North Star, they knew what they wanted to go after. The path was not easy, but they continued down the path and they achieved their goal. And they made a change in the world that we live in. They are defining the world. And if you believe that you can do that, you can reach your goal, whatever your goal may be. Lot of hard work, passion to reach your goal, and you being ready with the soft skills, the hard skills that will
Yeah,
go
I
to.
think that's a great insight. And for our youngsters and young talent, some of these insights are coming directly from the CXOs and CEOs. So you have no other choice than to understand and give thought to it if you want a brighter future. And I'm sure you're working in that direction. So, Prasad, this was very, very insightful session. Any last thought you want to leave the emerging leader with, leaders who are actually working in the corporate today? Any last comment? Any last thought for them?
Again, everything that we discussed, right? These soft skills are as important as the hard skills. Be a learner, be passionate, have a North Star. Please have a plan for yourself. People who don't have a plan, the world calls them drifters. You go from one thing to another, to another, to another. There's no consistency. Please make sure you have a goal and you are ready to put in the hard work for that goal. So have the passion to achieve that goal. Be a be a learner, a constant learner. Learning something new in the area that you like, love, you're passionate about, will give you a lot of happiness. If you let other people drive your career, your goals, and so on and so forth, you will not have the independent nature to actually love the journey. So once you have a North Star, you work very hard for it, but even the journey will be will be difficulties. I will not say everything will be everything will be clear on day one, or you'll not have any problem. You'll have a lot of problems, but the journey itself will give you a lot of satisfaction and happiness as you go towards the goal that you've set up for yourself. So please, it's your life. You only have one life. It's in your hands. Please set a goal. Please work hard towards it. The tools and technologies are there as an enabler for you. So don't be disrupted. Rather be the disruptor. Be the person to create a beautiful solution or a beautiful answer to the problems that the world is plaguing. And there are a lot of problems today. That's also the
Right.
corollary. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to do some phenomenal things. You are in the driver's seat in your life, and as I keep saying, you only live once. So
Yes.
be happy, have a goal, work hard towards it. It'll be a tough road, but be prepared to face those obstacles. And and the technology is an enabler.
Yes.
The wonderful. Don't be in that camp where it's all doom and gloom. Be in the camp where you can use technology to change the world, become a better place for generations to come. That's the power you have in your hands today. So wish you all the very best, and hope your audience, some of the folks who are hearing this, create something phenomenal that all of us are proud about, and yeah, it could be a game changer for the next few generations out. So all the
Thank you
best.
so much. Thank you so much. We had great insights and learning from Prasad's personal. We talked about how his day looks like, and then we talked about the family. Then we moved into how to build high performance team, and then talked about business and his venture to which he's the co-founder, the Curaway. And I think there'll be a lot of discussions later on sometimes, Prasad, that I'll have on
Absolutely.
your product. This is about real leaders. This is about real experiences, and this is about real insights. And that is what In the Line of Fire is all about, tapping onto the gold mine of leaders. Thank you so much, Prasad, for your great insights. And audience, listeners, our friends, this podcast will be available on YouTube. It will be available on Apple, Spotify, Audible, and all the other leading channels. I hope to see you on some other podcast. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Prasad, for your time. Truly appreciate.
There's so much to talk about, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Your passion came out came out through the wonderful questions that you asked to elicit the right responses from me. So, and my thoughts, my 2 cents on the questions that you asked. So, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, Saraj, and all the very best.
Thank you, Prasad.